Hi everyone, my name is Laura. Welcome back to my channel. I have a special guest who wants to introduce herself. Let me show you what I'm having to deal with. Ready? Ready? Maggie? Maggie, where are you? Hello? She wants a cuddle. So, Max, come in. The reason I've introduced Maggie is because you will hear Maggie, I think, at certain points throughout this video. So I wanted you to see exactly the culprit. Excuse me, come here. Of this noise. There she is. That my little French bulldog. On you. On you. You alright? Yeah. Good, good. So this, if you hear... If you hear any... Oh, if you hear any noises like this, it's Maggie, and this is Maggie. So anyway, should I put it down now? Okay. Yeah, okay. See you in a minute. Bye bye. So I just wanted you to meet Maggie. So sorry. Welcome to the channel. So today I've done a woven ring tutorial. I've used a chunky stabilised turquoise gemstone. I want to show. There we go. And whoop, there we are. So you can wear it in either direction. Hot off the press, literally just been made. There we go. I hope you like it. You can still hear Maggie. So yeah, this is the ring in its entirety. It's woven ring shank all the way around. Why aren't you focusing? Okay, that's better. Wasn't focusing. So there it is, all in itself. I hope you like it. I'm very chuffed with how this ring turned out. And yeah, you will see how I created it. Again, it's a bit of a create with me. A lot of my videos are going to be create with me. I don't tend to have a set design when I start something like this, and I think that that is something that I love about the work that I do. You know, if I was to redo this, even if I followed my tutorial, it still won't be exactly the same. And I like to create, help encourage people to have that confidence to just see what happens. Have a go. What will happen with that wire? What do I do next? Did that work? No. You know, go on a journey with me, see how it evolves, see my mistakes, see me think things through, see me change my mind, see something go wrong. That's all going to happen in this video. But as I said, I hope you like it. If there's any questions, please let me know. If there's anything in particular that you would like to see, please let me know. I do say this at the end of the tutorial. I do have a couple of designs that I show you just so that you can see. Let me know if you like them. Let me know if you want a tutorial on them. I would love to hear from you. Please click subscribe. Please like this channel because I'm trying to grow and I want to do more tutorials on a much more regular basis. So anyway, let's get to it. Hi everyone, so today we're going to be making this woven ring. I have got a lovely stabilised turquoise gemstone just here. It's got a nice size drill hole on it, which means that I will be able to get my 0.8 wire through easily. I've got some 0.8 wire, which is about a 20 gauge, and I have some 0.315 wire here, which will be my weaving wire, and this is approximately, I think, probably about 28 gauge. Because I believe that 0.4 is 26. So we'll see. So I've cut some lengths of wire, 0.8. I've got 3 lengths of approximately, let's have a quick look. Where are you, ruler? Here we are. About 28 centimetres. Obviously it's curved. This is just quickly. About 10, 11 inches. Okay, so I'm going to be making a woven ring. So when I'm doing this, I want to weave the centre of these base wires, and that will become my ring shank. And then we will be using the excess wires here to decorate around the gemstone. So to begin, I'm going to start off with the weave. Now you can do any weave you want for the ring shank, just as long as it keeps those wires close together. So I'm going to start with taking my 0.315 and coming about a third of the way of the wire, leaving a tail. I'm wrapping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I'm then going to take another 0.8 wire, line that up. So so that the ends are together, placing it on top, and I'm going to wrap both those wires 1, 2, 3 and into the middle of those wires. Okay, into the middle, so it's back to the front. I'm going to cut the tail now. I'll say this a lot in my videos, but it's a habit to get into. Trim that wire so it's out of the way and you don't forget about it. Take the next wire and I'm going to place this underneath. So the one that we wrapped a wire on initially is now going to become the middle wire. Just going to take the ends of these wires to distinguish them. Let's kick them out like that. Coming back to this wire here, it's at the front, and I'm going to wrap the bottom and middle wire. So I'm going to go around once, the same as we did at the top. Once, twice, and around again and into the middle. And that's going to give me a look like this. So what I'm going to be doing is wrapping 5 times around the middle wire, and then 3 times around the top 2, 3 times around the bottom 2, and then back to wrapping that center wire 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Making sure that that's scooted up nice and neat. And then top 2 wires around once, around twice, one more time and into the middle. And then the bottom 2 wires once, twice, one more time into the middle. That's the pattern we're going to have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then top 2 once, twice, around and into the middle, bottom 2 round once, twice and into the middle. Give it a little scoot up. Okay, get into focus, and that's your pattern. Okay, so I'm back. I've woven that whole section because I didn't want you to watch me do that. So this is approximately about 1 3, just under 2 inches of weaving just here, which will give me about a size N to O ring. Sorry, I forgot to mention the tools that we will need. We will need a ring mandrel. We will also need some flush cutters, some chain nose pliers or sniper pliers. I love my tweezer pliers. They're not an essential, but they help. And my round nose pliers. That is my team for the day, and they're what we're going to be using. So I'm going to place this onto my ring mandrel now, and I'm going to be aiming for about a size N to O on the ring. All right, actually the finished ring I want to be about a size N to O, just personally for me. Obviously you change it. If you want a larger ring, you're going to need to do more weaving. If you want a smaller ring, then obviously you reduce the amount that you do. So what I'm going to do, this ring mandrel goes up in 2s, so N is in the middle of M and O. I'm just going to place this around the centre, around O. I just want to slightly size up, just slightly, to allow for when I work with this, wrapping the wires around the ring shank will obviously reduce the size of the ring. So if we go slightly larger, about a size larger, or well, yeah, about a size larger, that will just take that into consideration. Okay, I've brought it across, so you've got a top set and a lower set of wires. Okay, now what you'll notice is, as I said, I rotate that back around. I'm at about an O, and I've got probably about a centimetre and a half between the weaves. Okay, so the weave there and the weave there, I've got a nice size gap, which is perfect because I've got my gemstone just here. And if I place that like that, you can see that that's going to fit perfectly in that gap and obviously allow for the weaving around it. So what I'm going to do now, separate these wires. So I've taken the top set of wires, taken the 2 outer wires, just move them slightly out of the way, and I'm going to take this middle wire just here and pop my gemstone directly onto that. I'm going to move the opposite set of wires here just out of the way, okay? And I'm going to place this across. I'm going to do the same over here, move these out of the way. So we're looking at that. Bring this wire across, sit it nicely, just sort of in that gap. So again, when you're doing a design like this, you probably want to leave, as I said, enough space for the size of the gemstone. So if I was using a smaller gemstone, I probably would have done a little bit more weaving. And you'd probably about like half of a centimetre, maybe. It depends on the size of the gemstone. This is based on it being around about this gemstone is about 1 centimetre in diameter, 10 mil. So I've just taken that wire that the gemstone's on, brought it all the way around and over, and just set that just there. Okay, so we're looking like that. Take your ring mandrel and just reset it so we can be happy we're aiming at the same sort of size. So just twisting that ring mandrel so it's sitting back down towards the size O. American size N and O, I believe, is about 7 to 9, I think. Okay, so that's sitting nicely how I want it to sit. So I've still got my wire from my weaving. I've still got some left. Now, if you haven't got any left, just take a new piece and start it just here. If you have, then that's great. Continue using it. But I've got quite a length. I've got probably about just over ½ a metre. So obviously make sure you've got enough wire that will be able to do a bit of decent weaving. Obviously, if you've only got like a short length, then cut that and take a new piece. So I'm going to do a weave now. I believe it's called the basket weave. I don't know. I hear a lot of different names for weaves. I never really like to give them a name because I don't want to say something and it be wrong. But what I'm going to do is take my weaving wire up and over. If I said wire 1, wire 2. So I'm going to take this weaving wire up and over both those wires. I'm then going to bring it around and in between the wires and all the way up and over wire 2, the top wire. I'm then going to bring it all the way down the back of both those wires. And then I'm going to bring it over and into the middle and wrap the first wire all the way back down to me. So it's back at the front again. Scoot it down if you need to. Cross both the wires, around and into the middle, all the way over, down across the back of both those wires, and then around into the middle and around that bottom wire. Scoot it along and over, around, over and down the back, over, around, over and across the front. So it's one of those that when you start doing this weave, it's actually a lot easier to do than it is to kind of explain, if that makes sense. I often find when I'm teaching this that when I'm saying it I lose people, but when they actually start to do it, they're like, aha, get it. So you can see that that's building up nicely. Hold it up a bit closer for you. There we go. Where are you going to focus in? There we are. Turn it over, and the reason I love this weave is because it is reversible. So it looks the same from the front and the back. So just bring this up a little bit, and I'm just going to do, now when you're doing anything like this, I want to just continue round. You need to do tiny movements. So I'm going to do a little bit of weaving, stop, look at the ring, right, a little bit more weaving. So it's one of those where you have to kind of almost do baby steps just to make sure that you're going in the right direction. So I'm bringing this around. Now I'm a bit off balanced as well at the moment with this ring. You'll see that on this side I've got 4 wires and on this side I've only got 2. So I'm going to need to balance that back out a little bit. So that again is something that I'll need to consider when I'm doing this ring. I need to make sure that each move that I make, it becomes balanced. So that's that weave. I'll show you it properly. Where are you? There we go. Now, the way to work it out, I always think of it like a little percentage sign. It's like a little dash, line, dash. And again, you can do any weave you want. This is just what I happen to be doing. I do love this weave, and it is my default weave. So I'm placing this back on, because don't be afraid to use this ring mandrel to help you to form and shape this ring. So I'm popping it on here so that I can bring this wire all the way across. Oops, sorry, accidentally flying then. And then bring that down to here. Okay, so I can see where I'm going. That's just going there. So what I might do now is I've got all these wires here, so I'm going to take a wire, because I don't particularly want this ring to spin around either. I want it to stay where it is. So what I'm going to do, lift this pair of wires, take in the inner wire. Can you see that just there? This wire just here. And I'm going to bring that across the back of the gemstone, in front and around, in front of these wires to here. And then, just using my finger, because I am using a finer gauge of wire, I've done a little tiny swirl, and then brought that wire to come around and join these two. Okay, so you can see that there. I'm going to pop this back on and make sure that I'm not losing the direction that I want to go in. So I'm staying at the same sort of size. And what I want to do is kind of almost get this weaving to hug that gemstone. You know, I don't want it to become, what I don't want is the weaving to start to come really far away. I want it to really sort of hug this gemstone. That's the whole point. Okay, so that's those wires there. Keeping these out of the way still. I'm going to continue with my weaving wire. What I'm going to do now, sorry about that noise, it's just my bracelet. I have a charm bracelet on and it keeps they keep jangling. So I'm now going to turn this into a 3-wire weave. So I've got my wire at the back, so what I'm going to do is come around and wrap the first and second wire once, and then twice, and then come into the middle of those 2 wires. Then come up across the top 2 wires, around once, around twice, and into the middle of those 2 wires. Okay, so around once, and around and into the middle, around the top 2 wires once, and around and into the middle of those 2 wires. Around the bottom 2 wires once, and then around and into the middle of the 2 that you're wrapping, over the top 2 wires once, around and into the middle of those 2 wires. Now it's trying to separate a little bit, and that's fine. We just make sure we keep it. It's only because of the way I'm showing you. Okay. So I'm just going to once, into the middle, around once, and then around and into the middle. So we're just building this ring. We're going to see what happens. Now just remember that this is just a guideline. Every one that you do will be different, and I find often if you don't think about what you're doing, you tend to get the best designs. Okay, so we can see where we're going here. So what I think I'm going to go ahead and do now is take the shorter outer wire of the 3 and bring it under and through and up to here, because I have got a lot of wires and I have to think, do I need them all? So I don't think I do. So I'm going to get rid of that now. I've hooked it just around the front. Chain nose pliers, I'm going to just come in and flatten that into there. It will be covered when we work with these wires anyway. That gives me these 2 now. Again, back to the 2. Not worried about these just yet. Still working on these. And they've kind of changed. Can you see? Almost to like a little diamond shape now. Just the way that they've kind of crossed almost. And I'm happy with that. What I'm going to do is a bit of an open weave. So I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to go once, twice, 3 times over the outer wire, and then over to the opposite side. So I'm going to go around 1, 2, 3 into the middle of those 2 wires, over to the opposite side. So 1, 2, 3, making sure you stay in the middle, and over to the other side. It's just a woven bale effect. It's the same technique. 1, 2, 3, bring that wire into the middle, 1, 2, and then your 3rd wire is coming, wrap is coming into the middle. So we'll move these right out of the way so I can really show you one more time. Around that wire once, twice, and then 3 times. It's in the middle of those 2 wires. You can see that here. Over, 1, 2, 3. It's in the middle, so it goes over to the other side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now what's going to happen is these wires have come out quite wide, so I want to make sure they stay tapered in. And I can bring that here. Oh, I could actually bring that around here. So we've got that kind of effect. I'm going to pause that for now. Actually, no, I'll carry on working. I'm going to just continue that weaving. 1, 2, 3, just to get these back where I want them to go. So I've moved them now. 1, because obviously I've got all these wires over here as well. 2, 3. So what I'm going to do with this wire, the inner wire here, just going to find a gap. I'm actually just going to feed that straight through and bring that, and that brings that all together. Pushing that now up so I can get it to come to the top of the ring, because obviously we've got a lot more of the ring that we want to work on. And at the moment I've got all of this to still work on, so I can keep those wires and use them later. I'm then going to just continue, since as I had the wire on this side anyway, I'm just going to wrap until I've finished this bit here, just this tail of this wire. Only got a little bit of my weaving wire left, so move that out of the way so it doesn't try to focus on something else. Just seems a shame to waste this little bit of 0.4. And then we can bring that around like that. Okay, so for now I'm going to leave it at that and see what else happens. So snip that wire out of the way. That's one part. Now we've got this set of wires just here. So I'm going to have a little look at this and think, okay, what can we do? Well, this wire here was the wire that we brought round and wrapped with, so I'm going to leave that. I'm going to just take these two as they are, just pushing them nice and close against the stone, create a kind of effect. Okay, and now this is why we leave things midway and go over to the opposite side, because can you see how instantly these almost to me want to buddy up with this fella here? Okay, and I really like that effect. Now I could have coiled one if I wanted to, but I love mixing coils, weaving and bare wires. I think it looks really nice and complements each other. So I'm going to cut some more 0.315 wire in, again, just a workable amount really. Oops, I got caught up in myself there. So I'm just cutting this from the reel. And I'm going to come in, and what I think what I think I will do is, although I like that and I can see straight away where I'm going to go with that, still have this one and still have this one. So what I think I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to hand coil onto this one and bring a bit of texture into here. So again, a little tiny tail of wire just here, and I've gone to the end of that wire so that I can hand coil, and I've got all this space to work on. Do a little tiny section, keep it nice and straight, scoot that up, move it down a little bit, and continue. Now remember, we don't need a huge amount, so again it's something we need to come back and check. So snip that tail out of the way. What happened there was I cut a little bit close onto the base wire, and I just put a little groove in it, which meant that the coil that I made kind of stuck to that. So just be careful and don't do that. It could have pretended it didn't happen, but it's nice for you to see these things happen and know what not to do. So I'm just bringing this all the way around, scooting that up, all the way around, scooting it up. So I'm going to slide that down now and see where we're at. Let's hit that little groove again. There we go. Now bare copper, because it is a bare wire, it does have a kind of a nice, it will kind of grip. Where if you were using coated wires, sometimes they will have a sort of almost like a slidey texture to the wire. There we go, that's down to where I want it to go. And this is why I say it's nice to stop, because I can see how that's going to look. And it's just that little splash of detail. It's gone down across the back there. It's just giving that little splash of detail. And this wire here now can come up and join it. And we've got friends again. So I think I'm going to do that closed weave again. In fact, what I think I'm going to do is go 1, 2, 3 around both those wires. Because this wire is already coiled, I'm going to go 5 times. This is what I call the 5 and 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 3 times around both. So basically it's 5 times around a single wire, 3 times around both those wires. You see that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Scoot it down. And then 1, 2, 3. All right. So you can see how that's looking. So again, we need to just have a little check as to where we're going with this, because it's very easy to get kind of a bit carried away maybe. So we're here. I think I'm going to take this small wire, and then I'm going to then take that longer wire and again hand coil. You can hear that noise, that snorting in the background, by the way. I apologise. It's my French bulldog, Maggie. She's been a bit noisy today. Okay. Here we go. Oops. Bear with me a moment. And when you are using a 0.8 wire, it is obviously going to be a little bit more bendy. So just be aware that obviously it can sort of kink out of shape a little bit if that happens. Just come in and straighten it back out. So again, just a little bit of coiling. Let's see where this goes. Scoot that down, and I'm going to just bring that around. Let's have a little look, because obviously I don't want to take too much of the stone away. I just want to give it a kind of a nice effect. So we can see there. And then I think I'm going to come back. Actually, I'm going to keep them one bare and one wrapped, because I think I'm going to bring that all the way down to here. Forming that into shape. And I think I'm going to bring it over and into this sort of gap here. and just tuck that wire at the back. This is where my handy tweezers come in, so I can get a real nice tight clean finish and wrap on that. You can use your chain nose pliers, it does do the job. I just find that these just give me, I just find it a lot easier because you can get in really close. There. And then you have that wire coming across just there. And that to me is giving that completion then, because it was, you had the circle going across here, but it was looking a bit empty here. So I'm going to then look at this and see how exactly I want this to go. And do I want this to kind of come along like that? That's Maggie. Okay, I'm going to re-straighten that out, coil it all the way to the end, and then I'm going to place it. So let's just see where this goes. Keep going with that wrapping, bring that along. Keep going. Okay, so I think I will come back round to doing that all the way around. And I just now need to just do, I might just kind of off center that slightly. No, I'm going to get back to that. It's fine to have these questions and decide what you want to do and look at them. Make that decision. And what I tend to find easiest is to just place it. So every time I'm doing this, I'm just getting an idea of how it will look. I'm not committing to it, so it means that I can change my mind as such. If that makes sense. Just catch that last little tiny bit. I hate having to add a coil in, because it kind of never sits right. You can almost always see a join when you have a hand coil like this. So I'd rather just try to make it to the end with this tiny bit of wire. There we go. Here we are. Okay, so I'm going to bring that along. I think this one I might take under that piece. Okay, I'm not too worried that it's not wrapped all the way, because it's not going to be visible. It's going to be at the back of the piece. So bring that through the ring shank. Make sure it just sits how you want it to sit. Keeping it nice and tight. I'm using my fingers to really get that to hold and mould nicely against the back of the inside of the stone. And then wrap that around once. And then come back up for twice. Now to cut this, I'm going to line it up with the edge of the ring shank here. Snip that with my pliers so that it's nice and flush, and just flatten that so there are no sharp edges. I'm going to pop this back on now, because I can see obviously it's reducing in size. So I just want to go back in and just gently, I'm holding the whole piece and twisting that to get it back to the size that I want it. And also this will change everything that you've done, because obviously you're stretching the ring. So this means that you can see exactly what you want to do and what's going to happen. It also gives you a chance to handle your piece and feel if there are any edges that you've missed, any sharp edges that you have forgotten about. Right, let's pop that back because I've moved that. So bringing both these wires over here to meet this one. Just bring that around, and then they can come. Might even take one and bring it up and through. Okay, here we go. Where are you going? It is doing it. I just can't get it to go straight. Straight. There we go. So you can see. layer to sort of go too far down. I want to keep it there, and then I can have this one a little bit higher up, maybe, to just join all of those. Just be sure that you're happy with the way it's working out. There we go. So I've put that into the edge there, so it's looking the same. What you're doing now is the time to kind of tweak it if you need to tweak it. I've changed my mind about that a little bit going through there. I'm going to bring it back the way it was. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Now I can go back to where you were meant to go to meet up with your buddy. Just here. That's better. And I'm actually going to then do them just to really lock them, twirl them into place. And there's that there. So you need to look at your design and go, okay, where are we going with this now? So for me, this bit here is quite exposed. So I think that that's something that, getting that wire just here, oops, mind out the way, another length of my 0.315 wire, and I'm going to hand coil again, and I'm going to hand coil this piece just here. Actually no, I'm not. I'm going to hand coil this piece just here, because I'm looking at this, and these two, if I was to swirl these around, that being coiled would go in the middle of that one and that one. Okay, so tiny little tail, just hand coiling that again. And the reason I'm hand coiling them directly onto the base wire is because they've got a nice tight fit to the base wire then, whereas if I was to make them on a gizmo or pre-coil them, they may be a little bit too loose and not sit as nicely, which means that they can buckle in the design and not look as nice. That's the only reason. It's just my preference. You can use gizmoed coils if you felt you wanted to. There we go. Scooting that out of the way. There we go. And I would say also just do a little section of this and scoot it down to make sure that you can, because as I said, the bare wire against the bare wire does like to grip it a little bit sometimes, and you may need to use your pliers to scoot it down like I just did. So again, I'm going to just take this, scoot that down. I want that to go into that sort of curl. So I want it to go around there. Okay, so then when I do this, and then this, hopefully we'll have there, that kind of effect. You see? And now we've just got to just balance this bit out here. I'm reluctant to lose this piece because it's my longest piece, but for now I'm going to just take that, pop it under the ring shank because it's just got a lovely place where it's fitting nicely, and just I will come back to you, but I'm going to just go along with these, and then I'm going to have a little think about where it's going to work in this design. So again, this is where I'm saying you can play about with your design and see how it will work. Place it like that. Will that work? Yes or no? And I've only placed it so I can easily come back and undo that. What I am going to do is do the 5 and 3 again, just to pick up that pattern. So I'm just coming in and I'm just doing the 5. I'm just keeping the wraps of 5 on the outer wire to match that coil that I made. Do a little scooch up, keep these wires close, and make sure you do 5 and that you do 3 and not 4. 1, 2, 3. and then one more wrap of 5 because I like to do the next move with it on a single wire. There we go. So now this is where we can sort of go, okay, where are we going to go here? Just twisting that like that to see what I think. What I've done is I've bent it right back to really get a good curve on the angle. I was tempted to kind of do a swirl, but I'm not quite sure whether that would... Let's try it, shall we? I'm just using my pliers to get that good angle on this. Actually, oh, I like that. What I think I'm going to do again is I think I'm going to take this one, and I think I'm going to just trim him just on the inside now, just so that finishes on the inside there, just here. And then I think just another little bit of coil in here. And remember this little fella that we've reserved here? I think I'm going to bring him back up into the ring. So I'm going to find a gap. There it is. Oops. So I pulled that quite tight because I needed it to look as kind of seamless as possible from the front. Bring that up. Let him join his friend just here. Now, does it need a swirl? I don't think so. I think there's enough swirls going on here now. And we can bring this down to a nice finish. And this wire will have some kind of coiling, maybe just to bring it over and embellish this part here. So I am going to let it join it in with this one. So I'm going to just do the basket weave, the one that I'm calling a basket weave anyway. And that's just going around one, over them both, round one, round them both. Okay. Where were we? So you go across the front, around one, across the back, around one, that one. Okay, but again, you can do whatever ones you want. You don't have to do the same as what I'm doing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got that finishing point now. So I think this, I'm going to come in with my tweezer pliers and just kind of tuck that behind these wires and just almost loop that up. Oops. To there. And then a little bit of hand coiling, and I think this little fella will be done. Bring that to there. Okay. So just keep checking it, checking you're happy with the way it's going. Scoot. A little bit of wrapping. Notice that I'm keeping it nice and straight. Oops, scoop. Scoop, scoot. Keep going around. And scoot. So if I did that just across there, obviously it's gone a little bit wobbly, and that's easy to fix. You can just use your hands to kind of straighten that. But do I want to do one more kind of swirl? Oh, I like that. Yes, I think I do. And that's helped to bring it around to this. And then, in fact, I think what I'm going to do now is where I'm doing that coiling, I'm going to bring that 0.315 wire around. I'm going to show you now. Oops, I kind of caught myself up. Sorry. What I've done is I brought it around and I've just caught those two plain wires just there, and I'm going to just go 1, I'm wrapping all 3 of these wires together now, okay? My hairs are going green. Sorry, it's because I'm using bare copper wire. That will happen. It's normal. Okay, 1, 2. And 3. Okay, and then this little fella here, 1, 3, 4, and I'm just going to wrap this all those wires again. Once, one more time. So you're seeing, wrapping all 3 wires, and then one more time. I think I'm going to just do a couple of wraps here, trim this wire. What I've done is I've stabilized it, so by wrapping it to here, I've given it it's not going to go anywhere, it can't catch and go anywhere. But I'm going to take that little wire, use my round nose pliers, and just bring that up. Do I like that? Into a little bit of a swirl. Just one more swirl just there. And that's your ring. Pop it back on the ring mandrel. It looks like it's reduced down again. It hasn't. It just needs that little twist. And then what you can do, it's just whilst it's on that ring mandrel, give it a little tweak. Make sure you're happy with the way that it is. As I said, handle it. Make sure there's no sharp edges, no tails that you've forgotten about. Take your pliers if you want. I quite like doing this and going over the whole piece and kind of almost flattening and settling it all down. Just changes it slightly as well when you do that. Okay. That's that one. There's no sharp edges at the back. Have a quick look at your piece. Make sure you're happy with that. Pop it back on again. Just really be sure. And I'm going to show you one final little trick. Okay, so I have some fine steel wire wool here. I just want to show you how, I mean, this will tarnish a little bit, it will tarnish naturally over time anyway, but how you can just take this and just give it all a little bit of a polish and buff up if you want to. Be aware it does get messy, it does kind of go onto your table, your desk, your work desk, whatever you're using. But if you had something and it had tarnished a little bit, you wanted to bring it up, that will get you back your colour. I had some wire the other day that was quite dark, and I wanted to, so for example, this pendant here, you can see this is a brighter colour, same wires, same bare copper, but this has just naturally started to oxidize. If you come in with this, I mean, obviously you can use a Dremel as well to get some nice polishing effects, but if you just want to be able to give it a quick sparkle up, look at this. And there is a tutorial for this. I'll pop a link around about now, and you can, if you wanted to make along with me, I did a create as you go. It wasn't intended, a bit like I did with this ring actually. Now the hairs will get stuck, but the wire will get a little bit stuck, with nothing that a little wash and tweezers won't remove. But can you see how that's changed that pendant? So same theory with the ring. If your wire's tarnished, if you are using bare copper, of course, it will bring that alive. I always say as well, if you're going to sell a bare copper piece, there are 2 options that you can do. You can use a product called Renaissance Wax, which will sort of slow down and hold the slow down the process of patinaing or oxidizing, which will happen naturally with a bare copper piece. However, people do buy bare copper for medicinal reasons, and by putting a patina or a protectant on it, it will sort of limit those properties as such. But I always say, pop a little bit of this, if you were to sell it, pop a little bit of that in a little bag with a little note saying, please use me to sparkle up, or something like that. And people, if they wanted to bring it back to that natural shine, takes 2 seconds. You know, it's not difficult. Sparkles it up, and that's it, job done. So that's just a little side note. Anyway, everything's got sort of still wire on it now. Bear with me. Sorry about that. There we go. There's your ring. See if it fits, shall we? What do you think? There you go. Let me know what you think. You can wear it in any direction. But there you go. That's your wire woven ring, using a sort of a chunky single gemstone as a feature. Please let me know what you think. Please let me know if you have a go. I'd love to see your variations of it. I'm going to be doing quite a few more videos. I intend to do these either, if not daily, several a week. I've got a lovely project here that I intend to do at some point, which is a cabochon and a woven bangle. I've got a lovely sort of delicate, simple bangle that I'd like to do. If that's something that you think you would be interested in, please comment down below. I have also got this ring here, which I have done a tutorial for. I'm not sure if it's something that someone will want to see, if that you would like to see how we've done something like this. Let me know. As I said, I have got a tutorial that I have filmed for it. Please comment down below and let me know. If there's anything in particular that you want me to show as a tutorial, please let me know. Please like and subscribe. And yeah, have a great day.